Hey you guys, so let's go over this Unit 1-2 exam review together. Alrighty, so it says identify what would be the most noticeable bias. So not saying that there will not be more than one, but we want to know the most noticeable. Ice cream shop put out surveys for their customers to complete. 10 customers responded. All right, so the most noticeable thing we're going to see is non-response here. All right, the proctors all stand at the parking lot and count the number of students running late. Okay, well, this is going to be selection bias because they're only standing in one location. And what about the students running late from somewhere else, another location? The post office is using a used scale to weigh packages which they purchased at an auction. All right, we're definitely going to look at some measurement bias here because that used scale could be off. You are interested in the political makeup of CHS. You send a message to all your Facebook friends asking them which party they are or will be affiliated with. All right, so since our population of interest is Claremont High School, when we ask the people in our Facebook, that is leaving a lot of people out. So we're only looking at a certain group. This is selection biased. And an administrator calls in students and asks them if they know any friends who do drugs. This is definitely going to be a response bias because depending on who asked the question, sometimes we get different answers. All right, match the correct data type with each description. You can use the data types more than once. All right, so categorical, remember, is a non-numeric response. Numeric discrete means countable for the most part. And continuous means it's not countable. This is on an interval, rational type situation. Okay. Health officials are interested in the weights of newborn babies at Pomona Valley Hospital. All right, so weight is definitely numeric, and this is going to be continuous. Number of pages in a math book. Definitely number of pages is numeric, but that's countable, so that's going to be numeric discrete. The local animal shelter would like to know what breed of pet people prefer. This is not a numeric response, it's categorical. A new auto parts dealer is testing to see how long a car battery lasts. That is time. Time is continuous. This is going to be numeric continuous. Area code of a phone number. Area code is an example of a category with a numeric label. So this would be categorical. All right, time for some multiple choice questions. So admin wants to survey the students about the homecoming parade. They randomly pick 5 classrooms to go to during office hours and survey all the students in the classrooms. What type of sampling is this? This would be a cluster sample. Remember, cluster is when we pick a group to we divide the population into non-overlapping, more homogeneous groups, and we select the entire group to sample. So by picking 5 entire classrooms, that would be a cluster. Politicians are curious about how Claremontians would feel about passing a new bill dealing with recycling. They feel Democrats, Republicans, and independents may feel differently. A higher statistical analysts company gets lists of all Democrats, Republicans, and independents in Claremont. Then they ask every third person their opinion, beginning randomly with the second person on each list. What 2 types of sampling are present? Okie dokie. So the first thing that we did is we came through and we stratified or grouped by these homogeneous, non-overlapping groups, Democrats, Republicans, and independents. And then after that, we asked every third person. So that would be stratified as well as systematic. Okay. Alrighty. here we go. 4, 5, and 6, use this. In police work, the officer will show a group of photos to the witness, including a photo of the apprehended suspect, and ask that the witness identify the suspect. What type of blinding is present, if any? Why? All right, so right here, we're looking at the apprehended suspect, so the person that we have picked up. Another key word here is suspect. So what we have going on in this situation is that police know who the suspect is. They're testing to see if the witness knows. So this would be a single blind experiment. Explain how bias might be present in this situation. So there's a lot of, answers for this. We could have, the police could push a photo. Showing photos could be accompanied by questioning with guided wording. There's so many things. We could have questionable memory or specific traits that we're pushing. There's a lot of answers for this question. As long as you think of something thoughtful, you're good. EHS wants to test a new teaching technique. The teachers decide to run half the classes the old way and half the classes the new way. Identify the explanatory variable and extraneous factor. All right. So your explanatory variable here, which is, remember, like a very broad, explanatory variable is a broad statement of the treatments. And the treatments in this case would be the old way and the new way. Those are your treatments. And so the broad way to state that would be teaching technique. And the extraneous factors, let's check those out after we decide on teaching technique. So teaching technique, so A is possible, B is not, C is possible because teaching technique is our explanatory, and D is possible. Okay, so now let's look at the extraneous factors that we have listed here. Different teachers. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Different teachers. There's none. Okay, we can eliminate that because there's definitely going to be extraneous factors. Definitely. There's definitely going to be some. And this one is extraneous factors, none. Okay. Well, there's no way we're going to say none to extraneous factors. Oh, that's because they said teaching techniques and teacher variety. That's a no. So then we're left with A. Alrighty, let's do this. A study of reactions to different types of advertising is to be carried out. 2 different versions of ads for the same product are to be tested. The organizer wants to see which version people prefer. There are 130 people available for the experiment. Okay. What are the treatments? So the treatments in this case, there's 2 of them and they are specific. This would be version 1 and version 2 of the ad. What is the explanatory variable? Okay, so remember, your treatments are broad or specific, your explanatory variable is broad. So if the treatments are version 1 and 2, your explanatory variable is going to be different types of treatment, or it could even be just types of of versions. I don't know why I keep saying treatment. could be okay. What is the response variable? This is the outcome that we're looking for. And what we're looking for is we're trying to decide which ad is better. So we're looking for preference of ad or preference of ad. Who are the individuals or subjects? We have 130 people available for the experiment. And design an experiment, make sure to include and highlight the elements of experimental design. Okay, so answers definitely can vary for this. For purposes of this problem, on your test I would be more specific, but I will let you assume a couple things about this population if you want. You can assume that they're 50-50 male-female. You could assume that you could divide them into age groups. Anything that you want to assume about blocking, I'm going to let you assume for this problem because there's not too much information. So come up with an experiment that you think would work out. And if you have to make assumptions in order to block, that's okay. Remember your 4 elements of experimental design. Number 1 is, or not number 1, but one of them is replication. You have 130 individuals, so you're good here. This is already taken care of with sample size. So 130, you're good. So check, you don't need anything there. Number 2, you need randomization of the types of ad that they get. So you decide how you do that, whether it's a random number generator, you flip a coin, whatever, okay? Next, you need blocking. Okay, blocking. And that's kind of like you can choose something like this to block by. And type 4, direct control. You can give them both to compare, but neither one of them will know what's the new ad or the old ad, or they won't know one's new or different or even competing. You can just ask for their opinion, and that is going to be a version of control. And remember, you need to always compare. So remember, you always want to do your best with your 4 elements of experimental design. However, every single scenario, every single question is always going to be different, and you may or may not be able to do things exactly the way you wish you could in an ideal situation, but you just want to do the best that you can with what you're given. And if something can't work out perfectly, like if you wish you could do a single blind experiment or a double blind experiment, but you don't think it will work out, explain that. You can be like, I don't think that this can be, a single blind or double blind, so it's not going to have the best direct control because, they're going to watch both ads or whatever you want to say, okay? Just as long as you explain yourself, you are good, and you have these 4 elements within. You can write the whole thing out and highlight them different colors. You can address them all independently. You can use some kind of diagram, like you could say, oh, okay, I have 130 participants, and I'm going to split them. You can split them 65 and 65 and say these are going to be female, these are going to be male, and I'm going to flip a coin for each of those, and they're going to get add 1 or add 2, add 1 or add 2. They're going to view that ad, and then they're going to switch. Whatever you would like, you can draw a diagram. It doesn't matter, just as long as you explain yourself clearly. There's not really any rigid rules as far as designing an experiment goes, because there's a lot of interpretation and imagination at hand, but you just want to try to incorporate all 4 of these elements as best you can, and if you can't, explain why. Okay, so I was going on doing this page and I forgot to hit record, so I'm going to go back. What is the best answer to each of the following questions? A survey, experiment, or observational study? Are people generally satisfied with how things are going in the country right now? These few sentences are up to you, and they're going to vary. A survey is the best idea to get how people feel. How you go about this is going to determine whether this is a useful survey or not, but a survey is still the best idea. Do college students learn basic accounting better in a classroom or by using online courses? Really, you can choose either one, observational or experimental. Observational being you look at existing classes, pull the rosters, and compare. Experimental being you get a group of students and you give them the treatment of going in the classroom or online. That's up to you. How long do your teachers wait on average after they ask the class question? This is definitely observational. So these, you kind of have options here based on how you design and explain it. These other 2, not really. All right, so a recent survey of 2,625 elementary school kids found 28% of children could be classified obese. Population is all of the elementary school children, and the sample is those 2,625. All right, identify sampling technique. Every 5th person boarding a plane is searched thoroughly. This is going to be systematic. At a local community college, 5 math classes are randomly selected out of 20, and all students from each class are interviewed. This is going to be a cluster because we said all students. A researcher randomly selects and interviews 50 male and 50 female teachers. Simple random. A researcher for an airline interviews all of the passengers on 5 randomly selected flights. We're looking at a cluster again here with that word all. Based on 12,500 responses from 42,000 surveys sent to its alumni, a major university estimated that the annual salary of its alumni is $92,500. This is convenience. You could also say voluntary response here. Explain what bias there is in a study done completely online. This would definitely be selection bias, because people can be left out if they don't have internet access. So, good luck to you, and I hope that you found this key helpful. Definitely come to office hours and get some help if you need it. Look over your notes, your types of sampling, your vocab, and definitely your experimental design and bias are going to be very important to you. And if you have any questions, I will talk to you later. Bye!